Oh my goodness. Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another 1,000 Pound Sisters review. This is season 7, episode 5. Keep the eye on the tiger. This episode, if you have not watched this episode, if you have no intentions on watching this episode, please watch like the last 6 minutes of this episode, because when I tell you that Tammy and Misty had me laughing so hard when it came to this whole thing with I think his name is Brian and Amy, I was weak. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into this review. So we are back in the car with Tammy, Chris, and Amy. This girl hasn't even thought about making sure that she has a backup plan if Ryan gets detained when they go to court. He's supposed to be her ride to court. And she hasn't even thought far enough ahead to what the plan would be if he gets detained. So Chris tells her that she is going to need someone other than Brian to take her to court because she's going to need a ride. It's not like she can drive herself. So now what Chris has to do is to take time off of his job and go to court with Amy to make sure that he is there for her if she needs a ride. Once again, showing how often Amy's family shows up for her, yet she doesn't see it. So Amy claims that she knows what's at stake, but it's better for her to keep her mind off things. So they arrive at the store where she is assisted in finding something to wear. Amy is claiming that she wears a size extra large. And Tammy says she's in a large. The moment that Tammy says she was in a large, I knew that Amy was going to come back and say something, because, there's always some type of competition there. And Amy doesn't want to hear that. So the next thing you know, Amy says, well, I can wear a large, but I like to size up for some reason. No, you can't. I know that the camera adds, a little bit of cushion for the pushing, but there is no way that Amy is smaller than me. And I don't wear a large, and I wear an extra large in top sometimes. But let me be clear, the top is hugging the mess out of me, and a little bit of my fupa is out. So if y'all are bigger than me, or I don't know about Tammy, because Tammy is designed in a different way with the way that her extra skin is. But if y'all are bigger than me, I'm trying to figure out what your actual size is, because it's not giving larges and extra larges to me. Ain't no way. Y'all tell me what you think. Maybe it's just me. Are they looking like a large and an extra large? Because that's not what it's looking like to me. So Tammy points out that Amy is putting on weight. And Amy lets us know that, she's not really worried about that. So she ends up finding a blazer and some pants. She did this whole shopping thing. And as we see her exiting, I'm looking at her and I'm thinking to myself, you're sitting here looking for clothes, but what she had on in the store, it looked like a black and white plaid type of dress, even though it was more on the casual end. Because of how she was wearing it and she had on the tights, she actually looked nice. And that could be something that she could wear to court. But that's the end of that scene. So we get to Tammy. Tammy and her mom are hanging out. It's been 3 years since her mom has gotten a haircut. So she's bringing her to go get a pixie. I find it so interesting that Tammy's mother had a lot to say about Tammy not being able to lose weight and the things that she didn't think Tammy could do in the past. And now I'm looking at Tammy's mom, and she's significantly larger than she was before, in my opinion. We see that Tammy is now having a role reversal, and she's pushing someone in a wheelchair because her mother is in a wheelchair. And it's just amazing to see how far that she's come, that she's taking steps. And not only that, she's pushing her mom into this building and parking her seat and helping her get to the chair. It's just a big difference in Tammy. So they catch up and they're talking about things, and the subject of Amy comes up. Her mom and Tammy are wondering how she even managed to get bit by a camel. Her mom's like, only Amy would be able to do that. The subject of court comes up, and the both of them are worried about the court. Then her mom, talks about skin removal and how that's going, and Tammy lets her know that she has to work on, the nicotine and her protein levels. Her mom tells her to keep her eye on the tiger, that she's noticed that that Tammy is on track, both physically and mentally. She seems to be a new person. She's standing up for herself more than before. She's not letting people run over her. And I want to know when, because I think she said that before she used to let people run over her. When did she let people run over her? I always remember Tammy having a lot of mouth and shutting things down when she wanted to, but I guess her mother knows more than we do. So she says she's changed. They talk about Andrea and Tammy and her hanging out more. And even though Tammy has not told her mother about her relationship, her mother, as far as she's concerned, thinks that this is just her friend. Tammy wants her mother to meet, Andrea. So her mother agrees to meet her, and she's not promising that she's gonna keep her mouth shut. Like, she's gonna embarrass her if she wants to. So on a different day, we see Tammy and her girlfriend heading to meet her mother. Tammy and Andrea are nervous. They don't know what she's going to say because her mother has no filter. Does Andrea not have a car? Because when they pull up, they're in that same maroon van that we often see them drive. Is this a production van? Because Chris has another car, well, like a crossover type of thing, and we've seen him drive it too. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But either way, rather than driving her car, she has one. She's driving this one. Not judging, just wondering. So Tammy's mom is waiting to meet them. She says to us that she'll know within 5 seconds whether or not she's going to like this girl. So they walk in, they sit down. Her mother stretches out her hand, shakes her hand. There is awkward silence. The whole conversation for a little bit is awkward. Just because, like, there are some times where you can be around certain people, they can hold a conversation, and then there's times where they can't. Like, one of the things about me, and you all may not know this about me, is I hate small talk. Like, small talk makes me cringe. I'm that person who, if I'm texting you, I hurry up and get to the point. Like, it'd be like, hey, da 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 da. A lot of people like to do all the formalities. That's not me. It's like small talk to me kind of is like cringy, like you're taking your nails and you're dragging them across the chalkboard. That's what small talk feels like to me. So they have this whole like little small talky thing. And Andrea's like, do you have any tea? And Tammy's mom says, no, but I've seen some chicken, because she doesn't realize by tea she meant gossip. So she explains that she means gossip, and she's laughing while Tammy's mom is like, I don't know if it was the edit or what, but she was stoic. So she wants to know some stories about Tammy. She says that Tammy was easy to potty train, and she starts laughing, her mom does, saying that Tammy would try to go to the bathroom by standing up, the same way that, like the guys do. My mom did the same thing. My grandmother used to tell all types of stories about my mother. At one point, my uncle was writing letters or whatever with his, and and my mom tried to do the same. I think we all have one of those, oddball stories. I know when I taught my son how to use the bathroom, I first taught him sitting down because they had a little cup thing for them to tuck their, genitalia. And then when he got, the hang of that, I put a Fruit Loop or Cheerio in the bowl, his little, what do they call them things? His little miniature toilet. Why can't I think of the name? Y'all know what I'm talking about. The one for the kids. He was going in there, and I told him to aim for the hole. Good times, good times. So Tammy then tells the story about her mother and how her mother grew up and they had an outhouse and there was a rooster that lived in the outhouse in the hole that you use the facilities in. And whenever you would go to sit down, it would poke your butt. And I just was I was so disturbed because first of all, why is the rooster in that hole? Second of all, that sounds a little bit like animal cruelty to me because why are y'all going on the animal? Like, yeah, anyways. So they laugh about that. Her mother wants to know how they met. And that's when Tammy says, online dating. Like, she turns into like a little kid, online dating. And her mom's like, what? Like, what'd you say? And she's like, online dating. And she's like, yeah. Andrea says, yeah, once we started talking, we never stopped. So her mother tells us that she figured out on her own that this was Tammy's girlfriend. She figured it out because of how Tammy was speaking about her. She knew that there was more to it. She says that she does not care about same sex relationships. If Andrea cares for Tammy and if Andrea makes Tammy happy, then she's fine with it and she's happy for her. So Tammy wants to know if she passed the test. She says yes. To me, you can't ever pass a test that quickly. You're not passing no test from me meeting you for a couple of minutes sitting at a table. Like, I got to see you in action and I got to get a feel for you for myself because everybody presents themselves in the best manner at first. But I'd be like, I'm keeping my eye on you. And that's basically what her mother says, because her mother says, like, don't make, Medea come out of me. If you hurt her, Medea's going to come out, which I guess she means she'll be violent. I don't know. Let me know if you get that reference, or maybe she'll go to jail because Medea goes to jail. Tammy is happy that her mother was cool about it, but she is still hesitant to introduce her to her siblings because of how skeptical they are of even her friends. So she wonders what it would be like for a significant other, but she'll see what happens over time. I get that Tammy's scared. This isn't Tammy's first rodeo. She's done this before. You've introduced people that were far worse, but I guess maybe it just shows how much Andrea means to her if she's that concerned about, what her family would think. Because she didn't seem as concerned when she was introducing Jerry and the I don't know, the I Like Big Woman King. I don't remember his name. So Amy heads to a chiropractor because her back has been hurting her, she says, since the 5th grade, and having Gage made it worse. I don't know how much I believe this story. I'm not saying that her back hasn't been hurting her. I just don't understand how, if the pain has been this significant for this long, why wasn't seeing a chiropractor something that she considered earlier on? Why did it take this whole situation for you to do it? I don't know. As Amy's walking in, my thoughts are, why does Amy always look dirty? And then later on, when she lays on the table, it's confirmed that she is dirty. We'll get to it. So she says her doctor gave her the medical marijuana card to help with her back pain, and it did help with the pain. But since the arrest, she's trying to figure out ways to quit. Not to alleviate the pain, but ways to quit. Interesting choice of words. Could just be the edit, but maybe I'm reaching too hard. Either way, she's trying to find a way to not have to use. We'll say that. So we see her get various tests done, and then she meets Dr. Terry. She tells him that she does not want to take medicine, but she rather smoke pot. He lets her know all that the marijuana really does is mask the pain. Like any medication, that is all that happens. That after it wears off, the pain and the problem is still going to be there. So he wants to figure out a way to get it so that she's not reliant on any one of those things. So he does the whole tension test, and normal tension on your nervous system, they say, is between 10 and a 100. Amy's is recording at 632, When I heard that number, I was like, I can't even begin to fathom what that means. But that's the number that he said. He says pain affects your brain activity. And her brainwave activity is showing that it is functioning at a 14%. And they want that number to be more than 80%. I don't know what's going on with Amy. And I don't know if this is more than just pain or if there's something just like actually going on with Amy. I wonder if Amy's been tested, because sometimes the way Amy maneuvers makes me wonder if there's some cognitive delays there or not. And I'm not trying to, be insulting or anything like that. I just listen to her sometimes, and it seems like there's some delays, but I could be wrong. So he asks her how often she poops. She says that, since the surgery, it's been bad, but it's gotten better. But she doesn't give an exact number. Instead, she starts talking about her camel bite. He tells her that he wants to test her mobility and he needs her to do a squat. She says, "What's that?" Everything that Amy has lost, all of the weight that we see that Amy has lost, is because they made her stomach smaller. It has absolutely nothing to do with any effort that she has put in, that she does not know what a squat is. The last time Amy probably walked significantly was that time that we saw her walk with Michael. So she's laying on her stomach. He tells her he's going to go ahead and take off her shoes, and her feet are filthy. Filthy. I understand as a woman that when we wear sandals and flip-flops and things of that nature, that sometimes, dirt kicks up underneath your foot and the sandal. However, the dirt that was on the bottom of her feet, seeing as how she probably went from her house and came there, that's the way she looked, is ridiculous. That is not fresh dirt. That is, I've been marinating on these feet for a little while, dirt. But he doesn't make a big deal of it. He's very professional. He says it just means that she's grounded. And he starts working on Amy. Alignments are great. They help alleviate tension that sometimes you don't even realize you have. So as he starts, he says L1, L2, L3 are all rotated to the right. The moment that he starts working on her, you guys, the moment, she's talking about how she's feeling relief. My question is, as I said earlier, why didn't you do this before? Why are you just now doing this, especially the amount of time that you said you've been in pain? And I get it. Maybe her doctor didn't recommend it, but at some point you have to be an advocate for yourself, right? So she says after this, her pain is at a 1. That's a big jump. I don't know what the pain was before, but the fact that it's at a 1 now, and this was your first time, yeah, that says a lot. So he tells her that based on what he's seeing, she can be pain free. He tells her that after this first alignment, she's going to notice that she's able to move around better, that she has better mobility, and that she'll even be able to probably have a more regular, bowel movement. So then we see her at her house and she's with Glenn engaged. Glenn hits her in the face with a toy. It's an accident, but she doesn't correct him. This is part of her problem. These are the things that we're talking about when we're saying you have other things that you need to work on rather than worrying about this man. It's your son hit you with the toy and you don't say, Glenn, you got to be careful. Watch how you're throwing things, or no, or nothing. I think she said damn or something like that, but she didn't correct his behavior. So there's a knock on the door. Tammy comes to visit to help decorate her house. She's talking about how this is going to be the last year that she decorates there because next year they'll be at Brian's. Even though your own house is a hot mess, you want to decorate. There's a hole in the wall behind Tammy. The backyard looks a mess. The front yard looks a mess. You got it looking a little bit of junkyardish. And you're over there at Brian's, according to you, painting rooms at his home, but you're not taking any pride in your own home that you fought to keep. I don't get it. Tammy is looking at her like she's crazy. She can't believe that her sister isn't more focused on court and the things that are going on in her life rather than Brian. Next thing you know, she's talking about this haunted house and that she knows some of the others are afraid, but she would like for Tammy and Misty to join her and Brian at this haunted house. She thinks that this would be a good time for them to get to know Brian because they wrongfully judged him for the camel incident. They weren't wrong in judging him. The both of you all were in a vehicle with marijuana and shrooms. They're not misjudging either one of you. The both of you put your children in harm's way. And the fact that you don't see that makes me wonder what's wrong with you. End scene. So it's Brittany's turn to see Dr. Smith to see if she could get this surgery. We never saw Brittany work or cut back on food or change her diet or anything like that for the full 3+ years Chris has been working on it. So I do not agree with her going this route. However, the doctor seems to feel like this is something that she does need to consider. So she is a type 2 diabetic and it's not under control. Her doctor is prepared to put her on insulin. Well, when you drink 6 sodas on a slow day, I wonder why your doctor wants to put you on insulin. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. There are people that have diabetes because of heredity, because there's no way for them to avoid it. And then there are people like what I'm hearing with Brittany who are making poor choices in an already, messed up situation. Why, if you know that they're prepared to put you on insulin, would you be drinking 6 sodas and laughing about it? I don't like it. I don't. I have a friend that's child is type 1. They found out when she was 9 years old, and her whole life has changed. And for her, it's genetic. She has a pump that's attached to her. The phone will go off sometimes and things of that nature because her sugar is dropping or is too high. Like all of these things that go on with that. And here you are, and you're taking for granted that you have the ability to fix your situation by just changing little things. Little things. All she has to do is cut back on soda for start. He didn't even tell her to lose weight. He tells her to cut back on soda and change some of her dietary habits. But we'll get to it. So the last time she went to her doctor, her A1C was a 10. She said 10 something. Dr. Smith is immediately concerned. He says that diabetes is a very dangerous disease because it causes multi-organ failure. It causes renal failure and artery disease and heart attacks and death. He says someone who is obese, along with being a diabetic, has a 300% higher chance of getting cancer. When he said that, my mind was blown. This is the type of stuff that we need to hear. And I'm glad that they're actually showing us this and educating us on this because it's important to hear. So she wants to know if she's a candidate to have surgery. He tells her she is. She smiles. He then says something that I didn't know. He says Tammy's case is a minority. Like that's not something that happens all the time of that size. I've always thought like 600-pound show and all that other stuff. That's when you qualify for this. He says no. Most of the time, when it comes to these surgeries, they deal with people who are between 75 to 100 pounds overweight. That's the majority of the cases that they see. So he's asking her, what is it that you can do? What is it that you need to address to get this ball rolling? And that's when she talks about drinking a lot of soda. She says like 6 a day. And Chris says that's on a slow day. So he tells her to get rid of the soda. He isn't giving her a weight loss goal. Instead, what he's going to give her is a dietary goal to lower her A1C, and that it might be harder to do that than it was for Chris to drop the 15 pounds. He tells her she has to do this. She says, yes, I have to do it for the grandkids. And I'm going to add that you need to do it for yourself. So let's get to the part that had me weep. So Misty, Tammy, Brian, and Amy are on their way into this haunted house. They go inside. She wants her siblings to get to know him and to be happy that she is with somebody who is good for her. You might have been able to say that prior to this whole arrest thing, but now that you all have been arrested, I don't think he's good for you. I'm just saying. So they're going through the haunted house, y'all. This is so off topic. I don't like them places. Years ago. Which time do I want to tell you about? Okay, Myrtle Beach, I was running through because they had like the Texas chainsaw guy. And even though it wasn't a real chainsaw, that thing was hot when it touched my legs and I lost it. The last one that I went to was a haunted forest. And right when I thought I made it, we were about to come out the forest. I turned behind me and there's this huge thing on stilts huddling over me. I ran so fast, y'all, that other people started running and they were laughing. And while I was running, I had a little bit of a tinkle. I had a little bit of pee. This is how I know I'm too comfortable with y'all, because I'm telling you the business. Anyways, you tell me, honey, anything. Count me out. Okay. So they're walking and they're getting a little scared when this man, Brian, drops to his knee and he proposes. He says, Amy, I know we both said we would never do this again, but my love for you is insane. Will you marry me? She says, you know I will. Misty and Tammy are like, they're looking. They're looking at each other like these two dummies. Okay. Okay. So they're all happy. Amy and Brian are kissing. Amy says this is the best proposal yet. She shows us her ring, and it's a skull finger ring. Like it's skull fingers, I guess, that hands or whatever that make a heart some kind of way. Yeah, I'm not, impressed, but apparently she is. And all this is going on, and we don't even hear in that moment Tammy or Misty saying congratulations. They're both looking at the camera, and when they come out, Tammy says, "What the hell?" Misty can't even say anything. Misty is speechless. Misty is like, if I was prepared, if I knew that's what he was doing, then I would have worked on my face. Tammy says, who the hell gets engaged in a padded cell? She then says she needs one. At this point, she feels like Amy is asking for ridicule and laughter. So they get out of the haunted house. She's showing off her little ugly ring. They both give a dry, Tammy's like, congratulations, and Misty's like, congrats. It's dry. Amy loved the proposal and feels like it would have been better if Tammy and Misty weren't there because she doesn't feel like they liked it. Misty says she's rushing it. Tammy and Misty both feel like at this point there's so much on her plate. Why are you adding this? Rather than worrying about this, you need to be worried about getting your life together, getting your ducks in a row. Tammy says, I want the best for you guys, but you guys need to slow it down some. Brian, very condescendingly, in my opinion, is like, thank you. Like, I don't need to hear your opinion, but thanks. He ain't like that Tammy said that. And don't think that because you smiled afterwards that we don't see that you didn't like it. Y'all tell me what you think, because I could be reaching, but it looked to me like he didn't like it. You got Amy saying, yeah, I said that too. I said that we were rushing. Then why did you say yes? If you really truly felt like that, then you would tell him not right now. So he said, yeah, you did say that. You said it for a minute, but it didn't sway you. And Tammy's like, Tammy knows this is wrong. Amy says she's trying to go slow this time. I can't tell when you're talking about how you want to be married by next October and it needs to be at 100 place and all these other things. And then she's like, they're saying that I'm moving too fast, but there are people with arranged marriages who last for a long time. Don't give that as an example. An arranged marriage normally means that those people don't have a choice in the matter. And there's so much more that goes into that. There's no comparison. This is something that you're choosing to do, even though you are admittedly telling us that you and Michael started talking about marriage within a week. So you didn't learn anything from the last time that you moved too quickly. And for whatever reason, I guess she doesn't see that this is love bombing, but there's something about this that I'm not trusting. So they're talking about all the places that they're going to want to have this wedding. And Amy is now over there as she's walking off crying, saying that, her sisters are mad. Nothing I do pleases anyone. They made me feel bad. My family could never be happy for me. She's sitting in the car and she's crying, lying. I hardly ever get something exciting like this to happen to me. And they act like that. This ain't your first time getting married, girl. This isn't your first proposal. So what are you talking about? They could have been happy for me. They don't want to fake it, nor should they. She's talking about how she was the only one that was happy when Caleb proposed. No, you weren't. You had some stuff to say too. You might have came through in the end, but you weren't happy. And even in that, whether they agree with it or not, all of you all showed up to support Tammy, not just you. She says Tammy's never happy for her. I don't believe that. She says if it ain't about her, then she's not happy. Hold up a mirror and realize that the same thing goes for you, Amy, because you're often in competition with Tammy. Misty says, we were here to see a haunted house, not for this BS. I want to know at this point, and I don't know, y'all tell me down below if you know, how many months have they even been together that we're now engaged? Tammy is over it. Misty thinks she needs to slow down. Y'all tell me down below what you need to think, what you think, what you need to think, what you guys really think. Here's the thing. Spoiler alert, we know that the girl didn't even really get any time for this whole thing. So I truly don't think that she's learned a lesson from what's going on. And I don't think that Brian's good for her. But y'all let me know down below what you think. Please like the video as it helps the channel. I don't know how many more episodes of this that we're going to get, because I saw a clip on Facebook in June saying that they're doing like 1,000-pound roomies or something. Like, hold on, look, this is real time. Look at me looking at my stuff, because I took a screenshot of it. Do I have it still? Did I delete it? 1,000-pound roomies is what it's called. It says it's going to be on, oh Lord, 10 o'clock. Why is it so late? June 10th at 10 o'clock. Y'all get my real reaction. See, 1,000-pound roomies. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think I am actually going to review that one because I love these weight loss shows. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Until next time.